Hey, everybody, welcome back to Spirit Made Me Do It. For those of you just joining, my name is Marcy. Today, I have Holly Matson with me. And Holly, well, how would you describe yourself? How would you describe what you do, Holly?
Well, that's a hard question. I've never been asked that before. I would describe myself as a nature sprite.
I
I
love
want to
that.
be that little old lady that's in the woods in a cabin, feeding the animals and making, herbal concoctions and living by myself in peace. That's pretty much me.
I love that. And I actually believe that I lived a life like that before. It actually
I'm
kind of came up in a past life experience. And my
oh
Bruno
fun.
was with me at the time.
Oh fun.
So you've always had this connection then to nature, then, if you feel like a sprite. You've had this connection to nature, you have this
Yeah,
connection to the animals.
yeah. My mother was very much so in tune, and of course, as a child, go away. I wasn't interested. But she was a fanatical gardener. We had a buttload of animals in the house. And the animals I loved, the nature stuff I wasn't yet interested in, and now I am. And now, luckily, I live in a property, I rent a property that has a really nice yard for gardening. And it's all the same to me, animals and the trees and the plants and the earth. It's all the same energy. It's all kind of a natural energy. And because I grew up influenced by that in my mom, even if it didn't take effect as a child, once I got older, and especially being responsible for my own home, I really felt it. I really felt it. And the animals, especially, people joke, and I don't mean this mean, but I get along with animals better than people a lot of the time because I'm dead on introverted. I just, like I said, I want to be that little old lady by herself in the woods. And because I'm so introverted, I'm really easily overwhelmed by people and their energy. So a couple of people here and there, a few friends, that's great. But in a crowd, I get so anxious. And animals, especially, are the antidote. They just, and I'm sure you've experienced that with your doggies. They bring you back down to earth, literally.
They really do bring you back down to earth. And the funny thing is, I mean, that's obviously very empathic. You're very empathic if you're going
Yes,
out and you're taking on everybody else's energy.
very much.
And I'm like that too. So I spend literally we're today when we're doing this, it's January 19th. And I think I have been out of the house 3 days this year so far. I just have felt like I need to cocoon.
Right.
And it's because I get like that. But because I'm so used to being with the dogs, I don't even know if I know how to really act normal in public
Yeah,
in public
I get
anymore.
that. I
So
get that.
yeah, I mean I'm very I mean I like a party every now and then, but I really would rather stay home and just be on my property. But you do Reiki.
Yeah.
You do
Yeah.
Reiki for just animals or do you do Reiki for people as well?
Well, no, in my practice, I just do animals now. And it's something I kind of slipped into. You know how you look back on your life and you can't really define a moment where something changed, it just sort of slipped in. And I had I was kind of kidnapped to an energy healing class many, many, many years ago, probably 25, 30 years ago, by a friend. And I learned the art of quantum touch, which is very similar. I mean, all energy work has an underlying theme.
Right.
And the quantum touch taught me about how intention influences the outcome. And this is way before so many of the quantum reality experiments and discoveries came about. Um, and so in the process, I learned what energy felt like, what energy was. And I didn't use that practice too often. I used it in my own life, but um, I didn't make a practice of it. I didn't go on and get certified or anything, but it very much influenced how I looked at life. And then I don't remember now, 4 or 5 years ago, I think I became Reiki certified. And that just kind of finalized it for me in my own mind and my own spirit. And as I thought about how I wanted to use that gift, um, and in the process, side note, in the process, realized how really open I am and intuitive and connected to everything. I said, you know what? My passion's always been the animals. And there are so many either afraid or suffering or just need a boost, just like people do. That's where I want to focus. And once I started that practice, it was just it. It just exploded from there. Because having had a bunch of Reiki sessions myself, I know what it feels like, very stabilizing.
Mhm.
And so for animals, because they don't have the I guess you'd say intellectual thought processes that humans do, they have less to get in the way. Animals are, as you again, as you very well know, animals are part of nature and so in tune with nature. That's where they live. And so when you get into something like energy healing, especially what I do, distance healing, they feel it, they know it. It helps realign and stabilize the body, whatever's going on, or behaviors, or their mind, or fears, or whatever. I mean, it's fascinating to me to look at the birds migrating. How the heck do they know? How do they know when and where? They do. They just do. They're in tune with the earth. And that's what happens with animals.
We live on almost 3 acres here,
Mhm.
and we are surrounded by woods. That's our big thing, is to be
Yes.
on our property and watch what the animals do. And you can always tell when there's a storm coming. You can always tell if there's a predator. You just always know. And it is so great to have that energy. So do you work on all sorts of animals or just domestic animals?
No, it's so far it's only been domestic animals. I've worked on, of course, dogs and cats and a few birds. Uh, I think that's it for now. That's all I've had so far. But and oddly, well, I don't know if it's oddly because I'm so cat attuned. I think mostly I have worked on cats, but I have a dear friend that has quite a few dogs because she's an entertainer and the dogs are part of the act. She and her husband use the dogs, and shouldn't say use, the dogs get so much joy out of this performance. But I've gone over all her animals several times, and I have a client now who has a few cats inside and out that I work with, and it's such a joy to me to get the feedback because I can't see the animal doing distance work. And when I hear back from the pet parent of a change they've seen, or gosh, she's so much more relaxed. A couple of weeks ago, I had just finished a session and turned my report in to the pet parent who promptly said, I wondered what was going on. She was sitting on the table as if she were sleeping, but I knew she wasn't. She was in the process. it's I'm often asked too about how can you possibly do this kind of thing remotely? Well, I brought show and tell.
Awesome.
This is a remote control. How does this control your television, your DVR, your garage, your radio, your whatever it may be, and not affect the whole neighborhood? This thing has a frequency, and
Right.
it's tuned into the frequency of the receiver. And that's exactly what I do. When I tune in to the animal that wants the healing, I'm the sender and they're the receiver, or alternately, the solar panel on this lantern. How does the sun affect something that's billions of miles away? Because of the frequency. And it's that simple. It really is. I have my methods of tuning into the pet, and that's syncing the two. And once we're synced, that's all it takes. I can feel their energy. If there's a blip in their system, I can usually feel that. And it's really fun. The more I do this, the more intuitive I get. It's really, really fun to feel like a dog's energy of being all excited to see me. And I had one recently, it's like, oh boy, it's time again. To sense that joy in an animal is just fabulous. So it's just something I love.
You would definitely be a golden retriever if you were a dog.
Yes. My favorite dog.
You have that beautiful, loving, exciting
Yep.
energy. It's
Yep.
just, it really
I
is. It's
bounce a lot.
It's really contagious. You really have such a beautiful energy, Holly.
Oh, thank you.
So you've been doing animal Reiki for what, 4 or 5 years, you said?
Yeah, roughly, yeah. I was doing quite a bit of just as needed human energy work.
Mhm.
And as I say, I'm so much more attuned to animals, and it just felt the need was greater there. There's not, I don't think there are a lot of people doing animal Reiki distance. And I should qualify and say, I call it Reiki for sake of identification, but there's a lot more to it. I think any practitioner adds themselves into it too. So I have my own methods to incorporate with the Reiki policies, and um, you know, things that I do or things that I pick up. So it's energy healing with the basis of Reiki, if you want to be really specific.
I totally get what you're saying because it's like your spiritual journey.
Yeah,
Everybody's spiritual journey is different.
absolutely.
Everybody's healing journey is different. How we heal other people, what we
Yes.
get involved in, it's all very personal, very different. There's no right, there's no
Right,
wrong. It
right.
just is.
Yes,
And people
exactly.
don't get that. I actually have a friend, and I believe her dog was having seizures,
Mm.
and you healed her dog through Reiki.
I did.
Yes, you did. I was talking
Awesome.
to her on Tuesday, and she told me that.
Well, you'll have to tell me after we're done.
I will tell you because I don't want to give her name because
No,
it's
no,
like the
privacy,
privacy
no.
thing if they need
And
it.
it's
But yeah,
privacy for the animal. Animals deserve privacy just as much as the humans.
HIPAA. It's
Yes,
real.
yes. Oh, that's so awesome.
Oh my God. So how, if people wanted to have you work on their animals, how did they get in touch with you?
My website is lightseedsbyholly.com. It's plural, lightseedsbyholly.com. And you'll
I
see information about me, about Reiki, about what I do, the scheduling page, testimonials, and all that kind of a thing. So just go to the website. And I am also on Facebook, so you can find, I think they wouldn't let me use the full domain name. So it's might be Light Seeds by Holly. I'm sorry, I haven't looked at the name in a long time, but you'll
would
find
love
me.
to be able to get in touch with you because I
Oh,
think
thank
this
you.
is such important work.
It is, it is. And I cherish the fact that I can do this. I mean, it's so important to me. I'll be doing this when I'm 150
It's
because it's just,
important to everyone and everything because even though some people they say dogs are from like the angelic realm, um, to me that's still all part of the collective, and I
oh,
could
yeah,
be very, very wrong on that, but any type of healing that we can do to any part of our collective, the trees, the grass, the hills, the water, you know the air, any
yeah,
type of healing work that we do goes
yeah,
right into that collective and
it
heals
does.
everyone. That's my
And
belief.
I totally agree with that. And briefly, you know the story. I won't get into the long story, but I had a few months ago severe damage to my home from a tornado knocking a 300-plus-year-old tree onto the house. And the tree stump is still out there, and it's about 3.5 feet across at the base. When I was able to get back in my home, one of the first things I did was go out there and bless the stump. And some people might think I'm completely bonkers, but that tree had and has energy because the roots are still living. And the violence of all that storm needed to be dissipated. And so I just went out and just kind of did Reiki for the whole yard and for the tree and for the remaining old growth trees. And it's important, as you say, every blessing that we give to another human or an animal, or, you know, moving a worm off the sidewalk, it all matters.
Yes, and you have no idea what that might put into place.
Right.
That worm that you saved might produce certain nutrients for a special tree that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
grows, and then somebody connects with that tree and builds around that tree. It's like the giving tree.
yes,
Remember that story,
it's
the giving tree?
dominoes, you know.
Yeah, everything is so connected. I'm kind of, I know this is going to come as a big surprise, but I'm kind of the weirdo of the neighborhood.
Join me.
And people can see like I said, we're up, like I said to you earlier, we're up in the middle of nowhere. And well, we have houses around us, but it used to be just like all fields when we were kids growing up here. So we can see some of the houses like
Mhm.
just before spring, before all the leaves start to hit the trees.
Mhm.
And I'm out there hugging my trees,
Yes,
and I'm walking around and I'm trying to touch everything on the
yes,
property. And I'll lay down on the grass and just look on the
yes.
grass. And I got to tell you, my neighbors must think I'm a fruitcake. So
Welcome to the Fruitcake Club.
I love the Fruitcake Club. This is the
Right.
best club. We know how to have fun. We
That's
know how
right.
to just
Woo.
not let anybody else come into our world and change things. We are people that change the world. We are
Yes.
people that leave our marks. And you are doing such an
Oh,
incredible work.
thank you. And
The
it means the
animals,
world to me, not only to hear that, but to do the work.
yeah, the animals are so important. And people, I'm so happy to see that people, scientists in particular, people that study animals, biologists, whatnot, that they're starting to see
Yes.
the intelligence, and they're starting to appreciate that these are not things for us to boss around.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, we're supposed to interact. This is
Right.
part of the beauty of
Right.
being here, is the people and the animals and the tree. It's everything. It's getting involved in all of that energy. So
And
thank you so much for the work that you do. I just
and
want you to know how much I
and I'm
appreciate
sure you remember, I don't remember where I saw, but I remember seeing a hierarchy. Man at the top and going down with animals. Oh, that's so wrong. We're all on the same level.
I know. That's why I love my crows so much. My crow
Mhm.
friends. Oh my goodness. My husband will go out there with a little whistle, and then they come around
Aw.
because I make my own dog food for my dogs, and I usually get like a rotisserie chicken, and then I'll use the chicken. So we take the parts, and we have a special place in our yard that my husband goes and he puts out the
Oh,
scraps for the birds, and he calls them
wonderful.
out, and they come circling. It's crows are absolutely amazing, but all
Yeah.
of, like we were saying, all of these animals are so amazing. And I'm going way off topic here, and I'm so sorry about that. My mind
Uh,
wanders.
it's all the same.
How long does it normally take when you do work on animals long distance? Is it instant? Is it like instant? Does it take like a few days? Because I know sometimes when you do Reiki on people, it can you tell them, drink a lot of water over the next few days, and all
Right.
that stuff.
There's no way to answer that question
Yeah, that's
because
true.
um look at it this way. It's you have diabetes. No, that's a bad example. You have a broken leg. God forbid, don't have a broken leg, but you know what I mean. For example, um, you can go to the doctor and get treatments, you can get it casted and all those things. Is Reiki going to help it? You're not going to have a healed leg tomorrow. Um, what Reiki or energy healing does is support the medical part, which is critical. For if it's just a well-being kind of a visit, that's one thing. But like the dog with seizures or the cat with seizures, I don't remember, or a couple that I worked on with cancer or other kinds of health issues, you do several sessions with that animal to support the medical part. And it's not magic. It's not just going to go poof, you're well. This isn't really faith healing because animals, as I said, don't have that mindset that humans do.
Right.
So as I've said before, there are some pets that have shown a nearly instant reaction to the soothing and all that, like within a day. And there are some that I'm still working on because they have long-term or chronic illness. So you can't say. And the sessions last as long as the animal says they last, like 15 minutes to 30 minutes usually. And I can oftentimes tell, I'm trying to think how to explain it, like how thoroughly they're absorbing the energy. Sometimes they can't, but sometimes they can. So that might give me an indicator of how long it'll take for them to really absorb it all. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense. So when you're working on, say, my dog Freya, She was found on the streets of Alabama, and she was a rescue that we brought up north where they send all of the dogs from the south. Um, we don't know what she's been through. We don't know the trauma that she might have had. We don't know any of that. We know that she's comfortable now and she's happy now, although she doesn't look it. She always has like this, she has a face that can look very, very sad. But we don't know the trauma that she's
Right.
gone through. So it would, of course, take more than one session to probably work through that. It's like energy psychology, if that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
very true. And I've experienced that. I mean, there have been times where a pet parent knows, of course, that the dog was rescued. They don't know under what circumstances, and or a cat. And I sometimes will get answers as to not specifically incidents, but energies that affected them. And the whole point of the energy healing is not to identify, like psychiatry, we're not identifying a trauma.
Right.
We're releasing the trauma that's stored in the body, wherever it came from. And that's my main job, is to release. I'm plumbing. I'm a plumber. To release the energies that don't belong, that no longer serve, whatever form they take, and then let the body take it from there. The animal's own energy will say, "Oh, that's better," and work on it internally.
That's amazing. You are so amazing. I love you, Holly. I
It's so
really
fun.
do. You have this energy that you have. It is so sweet and loving, and
Oh,
it's like you could take care of the whole world,
oh, don't make me do that. I spent much of my life trying to do just that. I said, no, it's not for me.
Well, you're certainly doing your part. You're certainly doing wonderful work. And it's such a loving job. It's such,
Very
I
much
mean, it
so.
takes a lot of love and patience and to do Reiki.
And
I
this is
have
why
actually,
I limit myself for how many sessions I can do in a day. It's not that it's draining, but it's, I don't know how to describe it. It's just something you need to take care of yourself first, so you have it, you know?
you do, you have to keep replenishing that energy to be able to. How many animals do you do in a day? Or can't do you how many animals do you feel comfortable working with in one day?
Good question. I prefer to do like maybe two a day. Um, there's prep work. Obviously, everybody has their own system as how they get in the mode, in the zone. So there's prep work, and then there's the note taking, and then I send an email report to each client on what happened and what I felt. Sometimes it's very short. Well, they seem fine now, and sometimes it's paragraphs. Depends on what happens. With some animals, I have really strong communication. With some, nothing. I don't consider myself a communicator. That's a little bit of a different skill, but it happens. It's all energy, so it happens in the process of a session oftentimes.
I,
So
I understand
I
exactly
know,
what
I'm
you
sure you do. It's I suppose, if there were an emergency, I would probably slip something in, but I think probably two a day is plenty for me.
okay. Well, that's good to know because I've got two dogs.
Anytime.
I'm almost afraid of what Bruno's going to, what Bruno's all about because that dog
Well,
is.
and that's another, since you said that, it's another point that any energy practitioner has hopefully the same code of ethics as a medical practitioner, privacy.
Right.
And there's no privacy between the pet and the parent unless the animal specifically says so, because they're living there together, they have to work together.
Right.
But the only way I relay any reports is with permission. And so some of the examples that I've used, not only did I have permission, but they're very generic, and I'd never betray somebody's trust.
Heard such wonderful things about your work from, like I said, from my friend, and of course from John, who we both know and love. And God love you. I love what you're doing. It takes such a
I do too.
special, it takes such a special person.
It takes a bond with the critters.
But to me, it's like you're being entrusted. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, goosebumps on that
No,
one.
seriously,
Oh,
right? I know, I got goosebumps too. We all have something that not everybody believes this, but in my world, the way I look at things, I do believe that we all have some contribution to make.
yes. Yeah,
And we can decide if it's going to be a big contribution or if it's going to be a small contribution.
right.
Um, but what you're doing is beautiful, and I feel like we all know what our certain gifts are. I mean, because we all have the connection, we all have all those same gifts. It's just more prominent in some of us. And the beautiful work that you're doing, I mean, it's you've been entrusted. You've been entrusted with these
I hadn't
animals.
thought about that, but you're right.
And that's a beautiful
Oh,
thing. That's so beautiful.
right.
I love you so much, Holly. I do. I just love you. I just, oh, you're one of those people that I just want to go, "Mm." You know, I'm
It's not
sorry,
the
it's so
cheeks,
weird today.
okay?
My energy is so weird. We're probably gonna have to cut half of this.
It's
But
fun.
but seriously, so we have how people can get in touch with you, which I will again put down in the comments, I mean in the description, so that people can get in touch with you. But I have lightseedsbyholly.com.
Correct.
Case
Then-
just so it's out there.
Yes,
Lightseedsbyholly.com.
correct.
And again, I'm going to put it below so people can have that. And how now is there a waiting period right now?
No, when someone books, when they get on my scheduler, they can schedule from 3 days out to like 3 months out. I just don't take immediate appointments. Excuse me. And then usually within 48 hours of that, that's a good question too. Part of the process with a first timer, I schedule a 15-minute kind of get to know you call because I want to tap into the pet parent's energy
Right.
because that then leads me to the pet and also to find out exactly what their intentions are and so forth. So it's just a little brief, interconnection kind of a thing. And then within a day or two of that, I do the session and do the report. If it's somebody that I've been working with for a while, like most of my clients right now are repeat, we don't need the phone call, we're connected, and I just do the session and send the report.
Excellent. So it sounds easy enough. So anybody out there who wants to have their animal work done, please get in touch with Holly. I've heard so many wonderful things, and I'm excited to see what Bruno's all about.
And
But knowing him, he probably won't tell me. He won't let me know. He likes to keep me on my toes, that one. Holly, I don't want to keep you. It has been so wonderful talking with you. I will put your information in the description so that people can get to know you and have you work with their animals. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for all that you do.
thank you. This has just been
Great
an
job brought
absolute
us together.
joy, joy and fun. I love laughing, so this was great. Thank you so much, Miss Marcy.
Thank you.